Hello and welcome to another episode of Montclair News Lab. I'm Keyshawn Reese. Here's what's coming up this week. First, gas prices. They're on everyone's minds these days, but for commuting college students, it could be one toll too many.
At this point, prices for gas, depending on where you commute from, is almost as high as the price of dorming.
Then, a new way to watch content from the School of Communication and Media. It's Hawk Plus.
This is now allowing us to teach students how to live in the modern ecosystem of media.
And later, veterans wounded in war, finding salvation in hockey.
For me, I drive 2.5 hours here to come play hockey, and I would do it every day if it was offered.
Your school, your news. All this and more on Montclair News Lab. Most students at Montclair State commute, and the recent gas price surge hit them very hard. Talon Lauriello has our story.
Hello, fill a burger, please. Oh, $47.56. Imagine doing that twice a week.
Drew Mummage is a commuter student at Montclair State from Lambertville, New Jersey. He drives 2.5 hours to school each way 2 times a week.
I spend about $90 to $100 on gas on a good week.
Of the 21,000 MSU students, 2/3 of them are commuters. Freshman Emily Gorchia comes from Staten Island. She cuts her schedule back from 5 days a week to 3 because of gas.
Now some students might have to cut back their schedules like I did because they're not going to be able to afford coming here every day. At this point, prices for gas, depending on where you commute from, is almost as high as the price of dorming.
And she's not far off from the truth. Drew drives a 2018 Ford Escape with EcoBoost.
On average, I'll spend $90 to $100 a week on gas, $200 on car insurance, then about $250 on my car loans.
An MSU semester is 5 months consisting of 17 weeks. So for each semester, Drew spends $1,700 on gas, $1,000 on insurance, and $1,250 on car payments. That's a total of $3,950. For that price, Drew could get a triple dorm and not have to drive anywhere. Dr. Sun Lee is an assistant professor of economics who talks about gas prices in his class.
My main intent in our classes is that we have to understand that the increase in gas price that we see today is a multifactorial issue. We've seen an increase in money supply. An increase in inflation affected general level of prices, which affected our daily consumption. At the same time, we've seen an increase in demand. The third factor is the supply shortage.
We're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas and energy.
In an attempt to help the gas problem, President Biden announced that we will be using the oil reserves.
Today, I'm authorizing the release of 1 million barrels per day for the next 6 months.
Gas prices will likely rise until Russia's war on Ukraine has been resolved and the oil supply can meet the demand. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Talon Lauriello.
As the war on Ukraine continues, people here are more connected to what's happening there than ever before. News Lab reporter Jack Nagel has our story.
As the war in Ukraine grinds on, we've all felt closer to the people of that country. Meet Sister Anne Lejac, a Newark native whose commitment to the Sisterhood of St. Basil has taken her to many countries, including Ukraine.
Our little parish here has collected $63,000 that our bishop actually took to the bishop in Poland for the refugees.
Lejac's parish is only part of the sisters' effort to help the people of Ukraine.
Our sisters have been housing the refugees. They've been supplying food. They've been working in hospitals, taking care of the wounded. They've been making camouflage screens.
Kaya Masiak, the station manager of Montclair State's radio station WMSC, has a particular affinity to this issue as she has dual citizenship from the United States and Poland. She has spearheaded efforts to help the people of neighboring Ukraine.
We've been just collecting monetary donations within the members and the circle of the radio station to help this initiative. We wanted to find some way to help Ukrainian children and displaced people and families. So the organization that we're donating to is Save the Children, and it's like the leading humanitarian crisis group that's helping children.
Former Nutley resident Elena Odulak, who currently resides in the Ukrainian section of the East Village, has relatives in Ukraine.
My family right now is in Lviv. There are constantly air raids going on, air sirens, all of that. And my aunts and uncles that are there, they don't want to leave, and they've been very clear about that. They want to stay in their homes. They're very deep rooted in, in what they've always grown up in. It's a very weird feeling being here and being safe and going to work every day, and you feel very hopeless, and you also feel guilty.
For Elena, social media has been a useful platform that allows her to stay informed.
My whole Instagram I'm friends with hundreds of Ukrainians on Instagram, so I only see information, and that's been a really great way for me to stay in the loop of everything that's happening.
A war that was anticipated to be a quick defeat has now lasted over 6 weeks as a result of the Ukrainian strength.
It's frightening when they hear all the missiles going by, but they're determined to fight to the death, really, for their freedom and dignity of Ukraine.
If you would like to help out and donate to the efforts in Ukraine, please consider donating through one of the platforms provided. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Jack Nagel.
Many of us at Montclair State are first-generation college students, including me. Recently, 52 first-gen students, alumni, and faculty were inducted into a prestigious national organization. Ryan Breda sat down with 3 honorees.
Joining me now is Kelly Arboleda, Angeli Francisco, and Marco Cordova. And you all were just introduced into the Alpha 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 Honor Society for First Generations college students. Can you all talk about your experience with that and how it feels to be inducted into that organization?
It's such an unreal feeling because I can finally say I'm part of something, and something that I know other people as well relate to, like Angeli and Marco. So for me, it's been really fantastic.
Then I saw that this was a special honor society for first generation students. And I felt like I automatically had to apply because I feel like there is a lot of representation in Montclair when it comes to first gen, but this is extra special, like an honor society dedicated to us, like that is celebrating us and our accomplishments and everything that we have done in our time at Montclair. So I automatically knew that I had to apply in order to feel like I was a part of something greater that was showcasing my talents and all the beautiful talents that everyone else have accomplished here at Montclair.
I was part of the planning committee that helped bring all of this together. We just really wanted to make sure that we created a community for students like us. Many of us share those same experiences, right? Where like academically, we just didn't feel like we fit anywhere, and that imposter syndrome and having to navigate things that nobody in our families had to navigate before. It's really empowering to hear that, you all felt that motivation in the room, which is what we're going for, right? We want to be here to support our students and give them a voice.
Can you all really talk about the experiences of being a first generation college students? And I want to bring up, what has really impacted your life as a college student, especially at Montclair, being a first generation student.
They made us feel so good about being first gen. Like before this program, I was like, I'm so confused. I don't know how to navigate this. No one in my family even knows what they're doing. I have no type of help and I just felt really, little compared to everyone else in the world because I'm the first. But that program empowered us. It made us feel like we were so special, and we are.
As inducted members as Tri Alpha, how are you now going to give back to the first generation college community and really help those students who needed help?
It goes back to, mentorship. Just, you don't have to say you're a mentor. You just have to build a relationship with someone, show them that someone cares, and, we all felt the same struggle. And we're lucky.
Just be able to be that friend, that leader, that mentor, that someone for someone new. And I'm excited to make a change, not only in my life, but in other people's lives in the next year and for many years to come.
The newest media product from the School of Communication and Media is called Hawk Plus. It's an app that lets you access all the school's media brands. Louis Biondolillo has the story.
We're all used to streaming services these days. We watch Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, and there's so many others. and the School of Communication and Media is joining the streaming war. Starting next week, anyone can go to hawkplus.tv to catch the latest productions. From Montclair News Lab.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Montclair News Lab.
To WMSC,
we're joined by three very special guests. These three people will be our hosts for today.
The Red Hawk Sports Network.
We're recapping this past week's NJAC playoff matchups.
And more. Dr. Keith Strudler, the director of the School of Communication and Media, says that launching Hawk Plus is pushing our programs into the future.
This is now allowing us to teach students how to live in the modern ecosystem of media.
Professor Mark Efron, a leader in the school, came up with the idea.
The idea was to come up with something. We're just starting slow, but something that will stream all of the various media of the School of Communication and Media.
The school is partnering with StreamStack, a company that builds streaming services, and we are their first university project. The partnership gives Montclair State a customized web service, and that's just the beginning.
The Hawk Plus you see like this year and even next fall, it'll be very different than the Hawk Plus that you see a year from now and 2 years from now and 3 years from now.
And it's not just a partnership between StreamStack and the school. This is just a construction site for now, but will soon be a fully digital studio with daily productions. And some are even leading the program. Joseph Giordano is heading the student team.
Finding content, managing that on our streaming source, as well as communicating and staying in constant contact with our team throughout the SEM. It's just building a relationship is really important, not only to me, but to everyone.
The biggest question is, why should you pay more for Hawk Plus?
There's no money. It's free.
The streaming service will be available for free online next week at hawkplus.tv and will be expanding to the App Store later this year. It's a brand new way to see the best of Montclair State's School of Communication and Media. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Louis Biantalillo.
They served our country, were wounded in war, and then came home to pick up their daily lives. Zach Taglioli reports on how hockey helped wounded warriors get back on their feet.
Janelle Lycan, a 36-year-old mother of three, has been playing ice hockey her whole life.
Well, so my mom taught me to skate when I was around 2, and I used to go every single morning.
Nowadays, Janelle plays for a local hockey team called the New Jersey Warriors.
I know that everyone on the team has gone through something similar.
Janelle is an Air Force veteran who suffers from PTSD due to multiple mortar attacks on her base.
For me, I drive 2.5 hours here to come play hockey, and I would do it every day if it was offered.
Mark Puttenvink is a former NHL strengthening coach who was one of the founders of the Warriors. He says that hockey players and veterans have a lot in common.
You build up a lot of camaraderie, and there's a team, there's a fabric to the team. And obviously with veterans, that fabric existed in the military career, and now it follows into the hockey.
Navy vet Bob Gillanella had problems after retiring from the military. He says hockey helps them all.
I think the way the guys communicate about how they manage some of the mental health challenges that they've had and how humble they are and how they talk about it and the help that they received really touched me. That vulnerability, you want to be strong and you want to have this, and try to endure it. And it led me to seek some of the assistance and help that I needed.
Although the wars are over for these veterans, they still need some help.
There are players that are suffering with PTSD, and I think now with COVID, and of course with the war going on, this program has done nothing but help these players get through some very difficult times.
These veterans are not just warriors on the ice, but in their own personal lives. For more information on the Warriors and to donate, visit their website, njwarriors.org. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Zach Taglioli.
That's it for this week's episode of Montclair News Lab. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode. Until then, I'm Keyshawn Reese. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Montclair News Lab, on TikTok at Montclair.newslab, and check out our website, montclairnewslab.tv for more.